When you hear the name Victor Jorgensen, you might think of the Northern California mosaic artist. You go to his website, themosaicmaker.com, you'll see he's got a number of galleries with his work, where he's got some hang-up pieces of mosaic, where he's done commission pieces for in houses, such as for sinks and inlaid walks and along walls and such. Really very beautiful work. Now Victor also goes as Double Hammock on HammockForums, where of course he's done a number of really interesting things with bridge hammocks. Victor also makes backpacking stoves, lightweight backpacking stoves, as seen right here. Comes in two pieces. There's a base here. It has a DC fan that's at the bottom here. Takes a 9-volt battery, right here. Very nice rivet work. This looks to be aluminum. There's a ring around the bottom here. Attached to that are the legs of office clips, so that we can make fold-out legs for the base. And then we also have the basin here, where we build the fire. And we have a stand for the pots and air holes at the bottom to let the air through from the fan below. The whole arrangement weighs only just shy over 6 ounces. Sets in like so. So let's put it together and see how it goes.
You know that it would be untrue. You know that I would be a liar, Amy, if I was to say to you that you and I couldn't get much higher. Come on, Amy, light my fire. Come on, Amy, fill me with desire. Try to set the night on fire. Why don't you sing it now, Amy, darling?
The time for hesitation's through.
Yes, it is.
There's no time to wallow in the mire. Try now, 'cause we could only lose. And now love become a funeral fire.
Come on, baby, light my fire. Oh, yeah. Come on, baby, light my fire.
So Dutch and I, we go on this through hike, and in preparing for this, Dutch is all excited. He's got a new one of these stoves, and he says, "Look, Grizz," he said, "I'm going to take care of the stove. I'm going to take care of the cooking. I'll make sure everything works before we go." I say, "Fine." So we go out on the first day, and we reach camp, and Dutch has got business to do, so he wanders off to dig a cat hole, and I dig out the stove, and I lay the fire, and I try to start it, and nothing works. It just doesn't work. So Dutch comes back from his business, and I say, "Dutch, look, I tried to light this fire, and nothing works. These matches that you have, they don't work at all." He says, "Well, I don't understand that at all," he says. He says, "I tested every one of them before we came out."
What did Oliver Twist do when he was at the camping stove?
I don't know. What did he do?
He asked for some more.
So there's this other time when Youngblood, who's an engineer, and TD, who's a physicist, and Grizz, who's a mathematician, they all go on this HammockForums hang, right? And so Dutch is there, and he's got a brand new stove, but he hasn't quite figured out how to use it yet. And so he tells these guys that he's got this problem, he can't make the stove go. And so Youngblood, being the engineer, does the simple thing. He gathers up some tinder, and he gathers up some small twigs, and he lays a fire, and he starts it off. Well, now TD, he thinks about this, and he thinks about the optimal sequence of sizes of tinder to small twigs to large twigs, and figures out how it is to make a fire go as hot as possible, as fast as possible. Well, Grizz, being the mathematician, he finds a match, he looks at it, he looks at the stove, and says, a solution exists. And he goes to his hammock and he has a nap. So another night on this through hike, Dutch and I come to this town, and we've been doing a mail drop there, but the post office was closed. So we look around, and there's no one around, and no place to stay. So we see this churchyard. It's got some nice trees in it, and so we decide we'll set up shop there. So I commence to hang up the hammocks, and Dutch sits down, and he gets the stove out, and he makes a fire, and he's boiling some water. And this priest comes out of the church, and he wanders over to Dutch, and he talks with him a while. And then he makes the sign of the cross, and then he wanders off. And so I go over to Dutch and say, well, how cool is that? I said, it must be okay to be here. And furthermore, the Padre blessed our meal. And Dutch said, oh, no, that's not what he said. He said, I want you up, and I want that fire out, and I want the both of you out of here. When you hear the name Victor Jorgensen, you may be thinking of the Northern California mosaic artist who makes sinks. Or you may be thinking of one needs a script. To stand for the pot.